Hi friends, so in this video I'm going to be going over how I made my pink Witch King cosplay. I just kind of threw it together for fun and I thrifted all the fabric for it. I somehow got very lucky finding all of that pink, but anyway, let's just hop into how I made everything. So first I printed out this pattern by SKS Props. It is a very good Witch King helmet pattern, 10 out of 10, recommend that. He also has a video on how he put his together. I slapped the patterns onto some 6mm foam by the Foamory. Thank you, Foamory. I pinned them down, traced them, and I cut them out. I then score those little detail lines into the pattern and I mark them on the back side of my foam. I then hold my blade at an angle and I carefully cut out each side of the lines, making sure not to cut all the way through the foam. This creates a little divot, a little channel, a little trench, and then when you put the two sides together it creates this little detail on the outside of the foam. You can also use your rotary tool to sand down the lines instead of cutting them out. I just prefer this method because I get a little more control over where the lines are. And then I do the same thing down the middle of the helmet. Next, I sand all of the edges and I also use my stone bit to open up those cuts just a little bit more. Once I sanded and heat sealed the lines with my heat gun, I used my barge to close up the cuts. I am obsessed with how the cheek details came out, and then once I glued all of those together, I matched up the pieces and I glued those together. I used the Foamory's foam clay for the spikes. I rolled them all into little snakes and then I pointed one end and I flattened the other. After a few days of drying, I trimmed the tips even more with my scissors and I sanded them down with my rotary tool. Next, I started gluing them together according to the pattern. Then I hot glued them to the helmet. I ended up using hot glue because I'm really not worried about like any messy seams or anything, since I'm going to be going back in anyway with some foam clay to kind of blend the spikes into the helmet to make it look like welding. I used some water to blend it all together, but I am not blending too much because I do want it to look kind of messy looking. Now that it's all built, I can use my soldering iron to melt the foam, make it look a bit more metallic and put some battle damage into it. Remember to wear a mask when you do this and do it in a well-ventilated room or outside because it's very toxic. Yay, battle damage, wow. Now to plasti dip the helmet, and I also throw on a coat of Rust-Oleum hammered metal spray paint. I really like the effect of that, it made a really cool metal texture. For painting, I did a lot of dark brown dry brushing, followed by silver highlighting, followed by more dark brown dry brushing, and then more highlighting. I really just did that until I was happy with how it looked. And I used this like beat up old brush. I'm not really too sure why the footage is sideways here. Just go ahead and like just turn your room to the side while you watch this and that should work. Moving on to the gauntlets, I 3D printed every single piece from a file that I found online that I'll link in the description. I figured it would be boring if I filmed how it printed out, so here's everything already printed out. I did a quick dry brushing of silver on the gauntlets. Okay, so when I typed up my script, I didn't put a space between silver and on, so it looks like silver on, and it looks like Sylveon's sad cousin. I did a quick dry brushing of silver on the gauntlets, and then I glued all of the pieces onto a pair of gloves. For the flail, I took a PVC pipe and then I prepared 6mm foam to wrap around the top and the bottom. Before gluing on the foam, I took my hot glue gun and I glued these little line details into the PVC pipe. Next, I glued the 3D printed pommel onto the PVC pipe. I'll include a link to the files for the flail in the description. Again, this was just a fun build that I made, and I made it in like 3 days, and it's not like a serious competition piece or anything. So yes, everything was 3D printed, and I did not model them because I don't have the patience for that. I glued the 3D printed chain onto the flail, and then I attached that to the PVC pipe. Then I plastic dipped everything, and then I did a dry brushing of silver, and that's really it for the flail. For the hood, I used Enna's hood pattern. It's just a standard hood pattern for my Enna cosplay, but I cut that out of 4 pieces of this pink fabric, which is actually a bedsheet that I thrifted. Then I ironed it out, sewed them together in the back, 2 for the outside, 2 for the inside, or the lining fabric, I guess I used it as lining. And then I put them together and I sewed around the front edge. The front edge. I ordered this lovely pink, rich, recently mysteriously widowed lady who was standing at her window sipping tea robe, which fit perfectly to wear under the main robes. So yeah, I don't know. I would also just wear this normally. It's pretty. And so I just sewed the hood to one of the edges on the bedsheet, and then I draped that over my shoulders, and that's how I made the robe. For the skirt, I am making an Empress style skirt, so I measure out 2 rectangles, one to cover my butt to the front on my hips, and then one to cover the front but leaving enough room for my legs to poke through. So I just finished the edges on them, I sew them together in the front, and then I sew a zipper in the back, and that's it. Ignore the wrinkles. This fabric wrinkles as soon as you look at it, but I sewed little arm sleeves so that the outer robe wouldn't fall off of me and that I could tuck the inner robe inside of it so that the feathers, fur stuff would poke out. I also pinned my robes together in the front, and then I wore a little leather vest under the robes because it's very cute. Why not? Don't look at my underwear. That's illegal. Don't look at that. I don't know why I wore black underwear under this. There's also a sheet, this pink sheet that I threw over my head. It's also thrifted, but that covers my face. So I just shoved the helmet on top of that and the hood. I can see through the sheet very easily, but you can't see me. No seeing me. The gloves just kind of slip on. I made them out of a 4-way stretch fabric that my mom had laying around in her Halloween supplies. I have a hand pattern that I made. It's like you're making a turkey. You remember making a turkey back in elementary school? You put your hand down and you trace it. So you do that, but then you add allowance, and then you can do that and Put on some 4-way stretch fabric and you got some gloves, my dude. The boots were from Amazon and I'm wearing some large diamond fishnets. That is exactly what the Witch King would wear. Yes. But yes, that is pretty much it. Thank you for watching how I made this cute little project. This video is months late. I'm very sorry. I am currently working on another Monster Hunter build. So whenever I get that up and ready, I will post a video. Okay. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Okay, bye.